My name's David Hambridge. I'm the director of Kifaru, also cinematographer, producer, kind of worn all the hats at one point. And Kifaru is about the men that carry the weight of the last male northern white rhino in the world, who passed in March 19th of last year, and they kind of took care of him up until his last day, and we followed them for about 3 years leading up to that. They're two main characters.
Yeah, my name is Andrew. I'm the producer and the editor, and then I helped. I was the second camera on this one, just following David's lead. Originally, David and we knew each other well before either one of us were in film, and we actually met up at a bar. Hadn't seen each other for like 10 years, and then I had been doing some work in East Africa, and David had done some work with some nonprofits as well in East Africa, and we started discussing some story that we had access to just through those connections, and then it really grew from there.
It was, that was kind of how the seed was planted. While we were discussing making, maybe going to Old Bajetta and filming these at the time it was 6 northern white rhinos in the world, we got to kind of know the faces and the characters that had the charisma and the really, wanted to tell the story and really wanted to make sure this got out there and connected with us. So I would say just building the trust with them and them allowing us into their lives was what helped us and reassured us to come back every year knowing that this rhino was old already, and he was labeled the last of his kind, and he was already in the headlines like last male northern white rhino guarded 24/7 by armed guards, and it was like a buzzworthy headline for like 3 years. But I knew when he collapsed, it would be like a big deal, and the world would kind of look back and say, like, how did this happen? We knew Sudan was in bad shape when we arrived. We kind of had intel from our caretakers. They knew he wasn't getting up. He was having trouble in the morning, and he would stumble sometimes, and they would send us like a video from their iPhone, and we'd be like, wow, this, like, yeah, we got to get back. It could happen any time, because at the time the film was called The Last Male Standing, and we knew when he collapsed, he's a 2-3 ton animal. He's not just gonna get back up if one of those legs goes. And so it was much more just let the story play out through the guys and how they're seeing it in real time and the emotions they're going through. So we just followed them. We were over their shoulder, we mic'd them up, and we just shot wide, and Andrew shot tight during those last moments, those last few days, and it was kind of really remarkable how we had this symbiotic kind of shooting style. It worked out. Witnessing
extinction firsthand, in the moment, I don't think it really hit us. I think both David and I, especially David, these were our friends that were letting something go, so shooting it in a respectable way and giving it decency. And instead of focusing on death, chasing death, we wanted to show the connection and the bond that was broken and just the emptiness of it all. So we really, I think both of us, our heads were more wondering how they're doing, and then afterwards it kind of set in like we just captured extinction in real time for the first time known ever in film, and people started telling us in the industry this could be something really special. It's amazing that you guys were there. So I think it hit us afterwards, I would say. Yeah. We learned that there's two sides of conservation. There's a lot of people, especially in the Western world, I think it's even magnified. There's a lot of people that talk about conservation and they want to be seen as a conservation, and they take it to social media and they make, they talk a lot about it. And then there's people on the front lines actually doing the dirty work that oftentimes they're not spotlighted. And that was something that we were both passionate from the get-go, just right out of the gate. And I think that we saw that play out, that a lot of people talk about it. Very few people are actually doing the dirty work, and the people actually making a difference don't always have the best lives. They're kind of the pawns in this game.
There's a funny saying in Kenya that my friend, Jojo, one of our main characters, he's like, we as the Kenyans, they call oh, he's like, they call us the donkey, but the Mzungus, who are the white guys, I mean, we're pretty close, but the Mazungus, you come and you're like the zebras, but we Kenyans are the donkeys.
We do the work.
Yeah, we do the work, and you guys get the pictures. You take the pictures and all that, and we're like, we've been coming here for 3 years with you, JoJo. Like we're not the zebras anymore. We're
From the get-go, what we said is we want to give a Kenyan voice, a very intimate, granular voice to this very universal thing that is often being told by people not in the local front lines, and we wanted to bring them into the conversation and let them tell it their way, because it's very different than oftentimes we hear in many traditional wildlife documentaries or reports. So that was our main goal. Let them have the voice, let them tell this story the way that they know it, because they genuinely know it better than anyone. My hope for viewers of the film, reconsider the conversation, whether it's about wildlife or conservation, or any other causes, that we try to listen to the local and often overlooked voice, bringing those more into the table on some of these big universal things that we're talking to, and really allowing them to be the experts, because they do know it best. And then I hope that people will reconsider places like Kenya. Instead of just flying in, I hope they drive through and walk through, and there's amazing places. It's not just all about the Masai Mara and these beautiful scenic places. There's amazing communities, amazing people, and hopefully this is just something that the Kenyan people can feel like this was our story, and they can feel proud about that.